Hello and welcome. My name is Biagio Mazza, Pastoral Associate at St. Sabina Parish in Belton, Missouri, and I'm here to welcome you to another Do You Know series question. As we continue our series on November as United States Black Catholic History Month, today's Do You Know question is, do you know the 6 United States Black Catholics who are on the path to sainthood? There are 6 U.S. Black Catholics who are on the path to sainthood. They are Pierre Toussant, 1776 to 1853, Mother Mary Lange, 1784 to 1882, Henriette Delille, 1813 to 1865, Father Augustus Tolton, 1854 to 1897, Julia Greeley, 1833 or 1848. She was not sure when she was born because she was a slave and was never told. She dies in 1918. And Sister Thea Bowman, 1937 to 1990. Now, of the 6, 3 are titled Servants of God, the title that's used for them. And they are Mother Mary Lange, Julia Greeley, and Sister Thea Bowman. That title is given once the cause for their canonization has been approved by a Vatican congregation for consideration towards sainthood. 3 are titled Venerable. These would be Pierre Toussant, Henriette Delille, and Father Augustus Tolton. Now, the title is given when the Pope verifies that these people have lived a life of heroic virtues, people who incarnated in their own lives the virtues of faith, hope, and charity, as well as all the other virtues that are essential to Christian living. This video will focus just a bit on the steps that lead to the whole process of sainthood. And the following videos will unpack and examine the Venerables and the various servants of God. So it's important before we go there to actually examine the process that's involved in the whole canonization process. So there are typically 5 steps in the canonization process. The canonization process typically begins 5 years after the person has died. One has to wait 5 years. And it begins locally by the bishop and the diocese where the person typically lived. And they begin to gather all the evidence, and finally all that evidence is submitted to the Vatican. The Pope can make exceptions for this particular requirement. For example, Pope Benedict XVI made an exception for the canonization of Pope John Paul II. And Pope John Paul II himself made an exception, waived this requirement for the canonization process of Mother Teresa. So the Pope can waive this requirement. However, once all the information has been collected and so on, the second step becomes the title Servant of God. And this Servant of God is given once the Vatican congregation has accepted all the evidence from the diocese and considers it appropriate for consideration towards the path to sainthood. The third step in the process is the title Venerable. Now, Venerable is a title given once the Pope, after having looked at all the evidence collected, verifies that this particular person has lived a life of heroic virtues. And so in this particular case, the Pope now officially names these people as Venerable. Now, the next step would be the term Blessed. This is known as the process of beatification, in which once a miracle, this occurs once a miracle is attributed to the intercessory prayer of the candidates after they had died, then the title is given as Blessed. A martyr, for example, who dies for the faith, doesn't need a miracle to be declared blessed. The final step in the process is the title saint. This is the process known as canonization, in which this is the final step in which a second miracle, this occurs once a second miracle is verified through the intercessory prayer of the candidate after beatification, in other words. So the Pope then affirms, has a special Mass in the process of canonizing this person and declares the person a saint, and now that person is inserted into the liturgical feast of the Catholic Church and is a feast is celebrated in his honor. So these are the various steps that are involved in the process of canonization or a person becoming a saint, and we will use these steps and examine these steps further as we apply them to the three venerables, namely Pierre Toussant, Henriette Delille, and Father Augustus Tolton, and the next video on the three servants of God, namely Mother Mary Lange, Julia Greeley, and Sister Thea Bowman. So I hope this has helped to explain just a bit as an introductory video to the 6 U.S. Black Catholics who are on the path to sainthood, and I hope we'll return again as we continue to examine the venerables and the servants of God of the 6 U.S. Black Catholics on path to sainthood. Thank you very much.